Hey, what's going on YouTube? Or Storm here with another deck profile update for you guys. Today I'm going to be updating my Blackwing Deck Profile. For the most part, it's going to be updates to the extra deck, but anyway, with all that away, let's go ahead and get the deck profile. So first off, 2 copies of Blackwing Blizzard the Far North. This is your kind of your wolf bark, if you will. When you normal summon it, you can special summon a level 4 Blackwing from your or lower Blackwing from your graveyard, but its effects aren't negated unlike a lot of those wolf bark similar cards. Then 3 copies of Blackwing Shura the Blue Flame. I might bump this down to 2 and maybe play a 3rd Bora or something else. Shura is just not as good as it used to be, simply because we are getting into a pendulum-based format, and it will not get its effect as often as it used to. So that being said, when it does, getting a Manaki out of your deck is just awesome. Then 2 copies of Blackwing Bora the Spear. Like I said, if I bump Shura down to 2, I'll definitely bump this to 3. Bora is still a really good card. I don't really find him necessary at 3, but you can run him at 3. And of course, the 3 Blackwing Chris, the Crack of Dawn. This card, much like Bora, can be special summoned when you control the Blackwing monster. What makes this card a little bit better than Bora is the fact that it cannot be destroyed once returned by spell and trap effects. Your opponent tries to torrential, this will stick on the board. Your opponent tries to ring this or bottomless this, it won't die, which is pretty nice. Helps you in the moment you can disrupt when your opponent tries to disrupt you in the middle before you go for a big synchro play. And of course, 2 copies of Blackwing Gale the Whirlwind. Gale did come to 3. It was, I think, the last Blackwing card on the ban list. But you don't really need 3. 3 gets really cloggy. But being able to reduce an opponent's monster by half and then go for no thung is just dumb. Then 2 copies of Blackwing Pinaki the Waxing Moon. I always like this card at 2. Kind of gets a little cloggy at 3. But 2, you can bring it out of your deck with Shura. Then when it's sent to the graveyard as a synchro material, you can search your deck for a Blackwing monster, but it can only be used to make Blackwing synchros. Then of course it wouldn't be a Blackwing deck without 3 copies of Blackwing Kalut the Moon Shadow. You drop this card from your hand, and your monster gains 1400 attack through the damage step if it's a Blackwing monster. So makes this card so good is the fact you can drop multiples to kill your opponent that much faster. So it's a little bit better than Crane and Honest. Now for the 1-of Blackwing cards, 1 copy of Zephyros Delete. I always like to want at least 1 Zephyros simply for the graveyard effect. It's nice. One copy of Blackwing Gladius the Midnight Sun. Gladius is not a bad card. It unclogs bad hands. If you open a bad hand with Whirlwind and one of your level 3 tuners, you can search this and special and still be able to go for your no thumb play. So that's why it's in here. Then 1 copy of Roshi the Squall. The reason I only run Roshi is because usually you bring it out with the no thung into Yugioh combo. You summon no thung, special this, synchro up for Yugioh, then bring no thung back. Typically you don't need more than 1 because it usually wins the game at that point. So for the only non-Blackwing cards I play, monsters I play, is 2 Maxis. I might change these out in the future, but I feel like Maxis a pretty solid card right now. That's why it's in here. And then now for the spells, of course, the Blackwing deck, so the obligatory 3 copies of Black Whirlwind. I've seen one of my friends, I explained to him why you need to run 3, because you won't see it all the time. It's basically your searcher, and you really want to see it as much as possible, so you maximize your copies. 1 Regeki. Regeki's a really good card, obvious reasons, staple. 2 Lances, because this deck is heavily reliant on your normal summon, much like Fusions, are one of my favorites, Battle and Boxer, so you play Lance. And lastly, 2 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon. Even though you run Icarus Attack, I still like having the MST than not. Hit those annoying floodgates. Speaking of Icarus, and now for the trap, speaking of Icarus Attack, 3 copies of Icarus Attack. I always run 3 Icarus Attack in any of my Wing Beast decks, simply because it's just too good right now. Pendulums are a thing. Being able to disrupt your opponent's pendulum scales, basically for free, is just awesome. And then 2 copies of Black Sonic, along with the 2 copies of Mirror Force. These might change out to Burying Mirror Force or Stormings in the future, but I still feel Mirror Force is not a totally awful card. It's just bad in certain matchups. Black Sonic's just dumb. Being able to banish all your opponent's monsters when they attack. When you control Blackwing is dumb. Now for the 1-ofs, 1 copy of Solemn Warning. Pendulums are a thing. We play quite a bit of back row, so we don't want Denko ruining our day. And bottom is Trap Hole, because same thing with Warning, Pendulums. And of course 1 copy of Emptiness, because we played Key Beetle, and that whole combo is just dumb, and Emptiness is pretty much a staple as long as it's legal. And now for the extra decks. So This is the new synchro from I believe it's Dimensions of Chaos. This is one of Crow's new synchro monsters called Valkyrie, the Rain Shower. So this card's effect is the first effect doesn't really matter. It's treated as a tuner if you make it with a Blackwing monster. But once per turn, you can target other cards your opponent controls up to the other Blackwing monsters your opponent controls. Fortunately, it does not count itself like it does in anime, but you know, it's still a really good card. It's like a Ritual Beast Steeds for Blackwings. It kind of gives them that one of the few things they didn't have, which is a lot of popping power. Of course, it wouldn't be really a Blackwing list without 2 copies of Blackwing Nothung the Starlight. This card is, first off, when it hits the field, it's a non-target. It burns your opponent for 800 like Cowboy, but it also reduces any monster they control by 800 attack and defense. It doesn't target, so it'll get you over a lot of beefy monsters. It will hit stuff like Dark Destroyer, Forerunner, you know, non-destructive monsters because it doesn't target. And then 1 copy of Blackwing Tamer Obsidian Yugioh. I thought about bumping this card to 2, but I found that in testing that I really never make the second one. Because when I make this card, typically I'm just going to bring, you know, Nothung or any of my other synchro monsters from the graveyard, and typically I'm going to win that turn. So that's why there's only 1 in here. And then lastly, 1 copy of Blackwing Armor Master, simply because it's a solid card to make. If you're going first and you have no other synchros to make, this is it's a solid choice. 1 copy of Black Rose Dragon because it's a staple and it clears the field. You know, it's just good. 1 copy of Black Rose Moonlight Dragon to keep our opponent from summoning a bunch of high-level monsters. It's not the best card because the effect's mandatory. When your opponent special summons, it bounces, so it has to activate, so... And then, of course, 1 copy of Clearwing Synchro Dragon. We can play a bunch of high-level monsters. Clearwing's just amazing. We're getting the XYZs. 2 copies of Ice Beast Seraphine, typically, much like a Curse Attack. I always play 2 Seraphines in any of my Winged Beast related decks, because Seraphine's just an amazingly good card, especially in a format where it's really pendulum based. Being able to negate your opponent's pendulum effects for an entire turn and then just beef this up to incredible its attack is awesome. And then 1 copy of Master Key Beetle. The reason I run Key Beetle in here is because it can keep obviously for the whole Key Beetle emptiness lock, but the other reason I play Key Beetle is that you can protect your Whirlwinds and keep them from getting MST'd, which is really nice. In the future, that might change out for Force Strikes whenever we get it. And then 2 copies of Kestel. Like I said about Force Strikes, when Force Strikes come out, I'm probably going to bump this card down to 1. But Kestel is just a wing. It's a wing beast, so it's able to tribute off Icarus attack. So you can it's kind of reason you want to last. 1/101. 101 is still a really good card. It deals with big monsters that have leave the field effects, and it's just a generically good card. So anyway, guys, I'd like to thank you guys for watching my video today. Really appreciate it when you guys watch my videos. Tune in on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays for more Yu-Gi-Oh content. And if you like what you saw from this video, please subscribe. Orstorm, signing out.